It's good job. Oh, I'll tell you, I'm impressed.
You like the Jeffersons, had to move on up.
Okay, Todd, you want to start us off?
Wow.
Oh,
Flag on the play.
come on, let's see the teamwork react. How we doing?
Before Star Telegram, first of all, how was the Home Alone birthday?
Home Alone? It was good. No, it was good. Got a good night's sleep. So
What's the plan with Zeke? I mean, has he shown you enough that he's ready to go this week?
I thought Zeke had a good day of practice. Really, I mean, a big part of what today is, at the state program and see how the guys respond. But tomorrow will be the final test. But I thought he had quality practice. Took all his reps, in the team period. So I haven't been down in the training room yet today to get an update on, obviously him and Noah and the other guys.
You've been running and cutting full speed.
Oh yeah, he did all the team period. Yeah, he did it 9-on-7. He did everything.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Outside of Barr, all the guys in the injury report, who are you most concerned with for Sunday?
I think they all got a chance. Yeah, I mean, I have confidence in all those guys. Anthony's the furthest away.
Todd.
Sorry.
Todd Archer with ESPN. After seeing what Tony was able to do against Chicago, give you more confidence if Zeke either can't go or can't play a full.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I've full confidence in Tony. I mean, I look at Zeke and Tony as guys you can go with and build a whole game plan around. So, I mean, that's the beauty and the blessing of having two top back like that. But obviously Malik and Q's been getting ready. So, I like running backs. These guys work hard and they do a great job in their both their opportunities with the team reps and do an outstanding job on the look team. I thought with just going to the look team, if you look at the the different running styles, between Dylan and Aaron Jones, I thought our guys did a really nice job emulating that because, both Q and Malik have, similar run styles for that. So those guys are ready.
Babe.
Dave Laufenberg, Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. I would never use the word easy, but is it a little bit easier in preparation? You've got these 4 straight games against teams from the same division, obviously, and you're looking at Green Bay. You guys just played Detroit, and so you got a handle on Detroit, so you see how they attack.
I'll say this, Babe. I think it's more there's a convenience to it because you're looking at a lot of the same games, because the way the schedule fell, so you're looking at the same teams playing, and obviously playing both Detroit and Chicago. So there is a lot of carryover. So I'm just, that part is probably the only thing that lines up. But I mean, the process is, as we know, is all the same. But yeah, I think there's definitely a little bit of a convenience to your prep.
Getting back to Pollard for a second, do you know what his load is? How much he can take? How many carries is?
I mean, Tony Pollard's a man. I mean, he's in great shape. I mean, he's like I said, I think Tony, if you were built that way, could be a number 1 feature back. I mean, that's the beauty of having both him and Zeke. We got 2 guys that, when you call plays and when you look at your call sheet and you got, you want to run these runs with this guy and run these runs with that guy. It's just, there's more moving parts and. At the end of the day, and specifically where we are as an offense, we're, our third down conversion and particularly early in the year was down. So, our total number of plays per game is down. So, when you have 2 lead backs like that, it gives you a chance to, just get in and out of, scheme and situational offense quicker and more efficient because you don't need to worry about who's in the game.
Hey, Mike. Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Jake Ferguson missed practice with an illness yesterday. How's he looking, and how is he tracking for Green Bay?
He looks better, yeah. I mean, it was just stomach virus. So, we're just being smart with him. I don't think there's any issue there for Sunday.
Mike, Haley Sutton, DallasCowboys.com. All week long, we've heard the players talk about how much they want to win this game for you and to help you get a win on Sunday. What does it mean to know that you have a group of guys in the locker room who are so ready and willing to go to battle for you? I
think the biggest thing it's just a reflection of of our culture and what we have going here. The importance of connecting and growing, and we put a lot of time and effort into it. It is a little bigger challenge. Frankly, with the the way off seasons are designed now, because obviously, reflecting back and and having to answer questions from the prior years and everything, you were able to spend more time with your team. But I love this locker room. I've been saying this for 2 years now. I think this is something we've been building on throughout my time here. So I think it's just more of a reflection of how we feel for one another.
Brad Sham, Cowboys Radio. Like you're talking about the statistics, third downs for the year and that kind of thing. Obviously, your team, particularly on offense, is completely different from the first 2 or 3 games. Do you traditionally, when you look at statistics and trends and things, do you break a season into quarters or anything like that as you approach it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when the schedule comes out, because I think of how your games are sequence is important. So I'll be either doing it in 3 segments or 4 quarters. And now with the 17th game, obviously I think there's more to that. So, in the way it broke down, the first 4 games are the first quarter, second 4 games are the second quarter, and then this 5-game stretch is the third quarter. If you look at third quarter, just the analogy of, what's the quickest quarter in the football game? It's the third quarter. And I think, the first part of this 5-game run, we got 3 games in 12 days. So it's that kind of thought process, because it affects your scheduling, affects your training. It obviously makes you more focused than you normally, not normally, but you got to be really focused on your play time, how this thing breaks out. Particularly over these next 3 games. The way we practice next week, definitely is part of, playing on a Thursday game. I don't think what I've learned over time, when you have that Thursday Thanksgiving game, which, I played a number of them up in Detroit, you can't just wait till after the game going into that short week to pull away, because stress is additive. When we're talking about physical, mental, emotional stress, it adds up, especially over the course of the year, especially over your whole football operations. So all those things are important, and that's why I think scheduling and how you train your team is part of the competition of this league, and that's why we put a ton of extra time into that as a staff.
Mike, when you see Tyron over there doing his stuff with Britt, do you allow yourself to start thinking about when he's going to come back and how he can possibly help you guys?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, just to see him the way he's moving around now, it's obviously got us all excited. But there's a schedule that he's on. He's definitely hitting the targets each week. He's in the meetings. So, we're still not there yet. I think obviously when we activate him, that'll tell you, we're probably 2 weeks away from where we think he can be to play. So yeah, but he's done a great job. I mean, Tyron's here every single day, and he's been really getting after it.
Michael Gelkin, Dallas Sporting News. With it being November and the sequence of games in a tight window, when does the schedule change in terms of tightening the on-field time and kind of reducing guys' physical workload?
Well, we started the tightening of the Thursday practice already, and a little bit on the Wednesday practice. So the practices, we'll stagger this cutback, So, and that started last week, the Chicago weeks. So, and then that'll go on this week and next week, and then in the Thanksgiving week is it's a unique, but we'll actually use a late Wednesday schedule, one I used a few weeks back. So, because I'm going to really cut back to Wednesday going into Minnesota, just because, what's in front of us with those next 2 games. And then we get back, and as we go into Indianapolis, then we will institute our winter schedule, what I've traditionally done.
Jory.
Like Jory on Yahoo Sports. How do you balance you don't want to overdo it on practice, you want to cut time, but then Dak talked to us last year about feeling like some of the details in his footwork weren't right in the second half of the season. I mean, do you change anything you do, or how do you keep that efficiency?
Well, I mean, there's certain things you just can't give up, and as I tell a team, September football is it just because the way these training camps are lined up. Let's be honest, the fundamentals and the techniques just aren't quite what I think we're accustomed to. So how do you win games? And the reality of September football, there's so many uncommon looks because everybody's spent the whole offseason training camp getting ready to go. So high focus on the scheme and being ready to adjust to the scheme changes and the newness of those challenges in those first 4 weeks. I think October is when you start coming together as a team. The pad level comes down, the combination blocks come together a little tighter, the tackling's better, the footwork, all those things. But to me, when you get to November, it's clearly about execution through technique and fundamentals. You just can't line up and think you're going to have leverage on every single play. But when you do have leverage, you got to win. If you don't have leverage, you got to defeat that leverage point. So that's really where, these are the things I talk about on a daily basis. So because you are cutting back the time physically, so we need to always continue to grow more mentally and emotionally, and that's the way we go about it. So our meeting time will be cut too, but how we meet and how much we walk through, those are things that I really look at, because GPS is a good tool, but it's not the absolute. We all understand that, but you have to pay attention to those things. You definitely have to pay attention, particularly to the individual GPS, because those are the things that can get away from you.
Yeah.
Dak's been through a lot on and off the field since you've been the head coach, and we assume you're going to have an emotional day on Sunday. How you two have kind of grown together?
He's probably, clearly one of the easiest players I've ever been able to connect with, coach, and he has that with everybody. I mean, he's such a unique personality. I mean, I don't know if I've ever worked with someone whose light shines as bright as his, and so that's been very easy, natural. And I think that's a big part of our foundation as we continue to grow.
As you get closer, are you more reflective, or just let's just get this game going?
Closer to the game, you mean? Yeah. I feel like I've had time to reflect, and very thankful for everybody giving me the opportunity to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it was on the tip of my tongue. I couldn't wait to get it out. But no, and I mean this. I just want to win the game, because I think, like any coach, anybody that's not part of those 48 players out there, competing, I don't want to get in the way, and so. That's where my mind's at. Friday's important. And being home alone is a great asset right now for me, frankly, because I'll spend a lot more extra time here today because I only want to be home alone to sleep, and but no, because my head's into it, and and then we'll see what happens Sunday. But I'm looking. To be honest, I'm really looking forward for the ball to get kicked off because that's what it's all about.
Dave.
Yeah, my question was a little bit along the lines of Calvin, but obviously an emotional game, all that stuff. And you've had 2 weeks because of the bye to build up to it. But will it be a game you'll be happy to have behind you?
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. I'm not. Yeah, I don't recommend this for anybody. No, it's a privilege to be standing here as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. That's something I take very, very serious. I'm very grateful and thankful for that. I obviously recognize the time that I had up there. But this is about our commitment, our journey, and we need this game. I mean, this is a big NFC game. This is a very dangerous, talented. I mean, this is, I think the worst thing you can do, regardless of this week, next week, you cannot look at games based on records. And I understand the way things are covered. By the way, John, what's the line this week? I didn't even hear what I'm just kidding. But so I don't really pay attention to those things, but because you just got to stay on top of the video. And if you watch the video, you can see their strengths, and they got a lot of them.
4.5. You guys are favored.
All right, good.
You've had a lot of cohesion on your starting offensive line this season. Aside from left guard, they've pretty much been on the field together every snap. What does that do for you as you make that switch to November football? You're talking about the details, leverage, all those things.
I think it's really a great opinion and focal point. It's not. I don't view that as a question. I agree with everything you just said, because that's what it's all about. I mean, if you look at the history, statistically, of offensive lines that play every week in and week out, especially in today's game, because to have those padded practices on Thursdays, I mean, they're so important because I think the max you can have in training camp is 16, and if you schedule it the right way, you're lucky you get 12. So I mean, and that's the reality of how important these padded practices are, because these padded practices on Thursday, to me, are critical not only for the guys preparing for the game, but the development of your young players. I mean, these young players play in November, December. That's been my experience, and I never lose sight of that. And but to have the cohesion of your offensive line, I mean, it's critical. I mean, just look around the league. You just look who's winning, and look at the starts that their offensive line. It usually ties together.
Okay.
Mike, I think I remember you saying something a few weeks ago, just a passing reference to 10 wins generally gets you in.
11 now. I think we changed it, right? Yeah. Well, 17 games. Yeah.
Do you still look at it as 10, or are you?
I wrote it. To me, that's. I think you start looking at that after Thanksgiving, because I mean that's usually about the time it happens. But it's really a mute conversation, because I mean look at our division. So I mean we need to just focus on our division, and I think by doing that, everything else will take care of itself.
All righty, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.